Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Astral Jewels as we get into another month, February, and the forces. Firstly, I just want to go back to January because so much happened. And of course, President Trump is now officially president. And as we look at the forces that were playing out, they were really, really intense. And I've just gone back to only the 28th, basically, and I could go back even further to, let's see, we'll go back to the 20th when it happened. That was the inauguration day where we had Sun-Pluto conjunction, and that was opposite Mars, and we had Mercury opposite Mars. And as we've seen, the executive orders were basically signed straight away, and it's been going hell for leather since. So much has been happening in the White House since the inauguration. It's so fast. It's coming at us, all these changes. And, you know, what's at play here? Uranus trine Mercury, Mercury opposite Mars, huge for communication. Mars is very willful, it's action, it's doing. So a lot of, verbal communication came out, and even non-verbal in terms of the executive orders. And Uranus is fire. Now, fire, you can take that on several levels, because Uranus going back into Aries, and we had, a lot of those fires in California. Not nice, but as I've said, the energies are extremely volatile. Now, not that they technically light a match, but the forces playing out because of these, the things playing out because of these forces, you can see how the fires in the Palisades, etc., tie in with this fiery energy that we've been experiencing. Now, the Mars opposite Pluto has been just extraordinary in terms of intensity and a lot of things happening. And again, it's personal as well as mundane, meaning global. And even myself, I use that energy. The Mars Pluto is a higher mode of Mars, and it's extremely willful. It's very much about action, and a lot of it, and very deep, and can be life-changing, which is what is actually going on. And I personally made use of the Mars-Pluto opposition. And, we've also got Pluto that's trining Jupiter, which is like king of the heavens meets the king of the underworlds. And that energy is very fortuitous with the Jupiter. You can make use of it. It's very buoyant. And with the Mars involved with the Pluto, a lot of action can take place. And so I use that energy, and I ended up doing what I intentionally meant to be a 6-day fast, and turned into a 7-day fast. And by the 6th day, I was a bit like, oh God, am I going to do the second one? The last day, and I ended up doing it and succeeded. And that again is indicative of being able to dig into your own will. People who have got Pluto Mars in their own natal chart are generally very willful people. They're action driven, they're doers, and they don't have a huge amount of fear when applying that force. It's just go. And that's exactly what happened, and it's what's been going on in the USA. It's just go, go, go in terms of changes and bringing in these executive orders, and it's continuing on. You know, Mercury joined that cluster up there. We had the Sun and Pluto and Mercury, and it was all opposite Mars. And we had Uranus in on the act as it was also angled to Mercury. So Uranus is a higher mode of Mercury, lots of fire, lots of communication. As we know, a lot has been said, right? And, you know, there's more action coming. There's more action coming. So, you know, on the 29th of January, we had this big cluster of the Sun, Moon, Pluto and Mercury. It's no longer opposite the Mars force, and the Mars force is still, it's angled to Uranus in a sextile, and Mars Uranus is enormously fiery, and it is one of the major forces for war. And you can take that on all sorts of levels, but it's action and fire. And things are going to change. It's really going to change things up, which is what Uranus does. It's all about change and bringing in new things and, you know, freedom fighting, humanitarian, you know, humanitarian purposes is what Uranus stands for. And it's in Aries, and, you know, a lot of fire is there. Aries is ruled by Mars, so you get a double whammy of that Mars-Uranus force, really, really strong. And we continue on 30th of January, 31st of January. We've still got that cluster going on above in Capricorn. Pluto is in Capricorn, of course. And so Pluto conjunct Mercury, that force just on its own is, you know, all about hidden secrets and things perhaps that you're not expecting, things from the underground coming up and presenting themselves. And with the Sun there in that conjunction, it's just illuminating that. And we've got all these orders that are really going to, they're beginning to change the structures of what's going on in the world. You know, it's not just the USA. It appears that it's all starting in the USA, of course, but it's, this is a global thing. You know, I had somebody during the week, you know, have a bit of a tantrum over what's going on with Trump, because they don't like Trump. Still, there's a lot of people out there that haven't woken up to exactly what's going on, and they're against what's happening. And you know, they're arguing about what's happening, but they're not going with, you know, all these changes that are taking place, and they're taking them negatively, which is you know, it's a problem when that happens, because they're sort of you know, almost putting a nail in their own coffin, because they're going against what's actually changing in the world for the better, and they're not seeing it yet that these are positive changes. We've seen RFK with, you know, the Make America Healthy Again. I think as of today, it's the 31st of January, as I'm recording this, has been accepted. But oh boy, did he have to go up against it to get there. And it's interesting that, you know, one of the primary things that RFK is looking for is transparency in our medical system, in the drug cartels. Transparency, what is being put in the body. And yet there was all this opposition by democratic people like Bernie Sanders and what's that other woman's name? I can't think of her name at the moment. Who are they say they're pro humanity and for the rights of humans, and yet they were trying to block transparency. I don't get that. I really find that, just really quite difficult to handle. I find it just goes against the grain. But January was extraordinary for communication and a lot of fire, and you've seen it actually playing out, which is fabulous. So now we're going to get into February as it actually continues on. But firstly, we're going to go into the normal slides that we do have. The sun is in Capricorn at the moment. Yes, it is. I'm a sidereal astrologer, and I'm so happy that it's growing legs, that more and more people are getting on board and starting to stargaze, and they're delving into why sidereal astrology is the bomb, because it's in line with the sky and you can visually see what's going on. So I'm really, really pleased about this. I've always been going against the grain and it's been frustrating, but anyway, that's the way it is. So if you're born between the 15th of January to February 12th, you are a Capricorn. And we've got the sun in Capricorn, which is illuminating all these structures, what we rest on in humanity, the medical model, the science, education, the whole thing, government, taxation, the whole lot. That's all the things that we actually rest on. So the sun is illuminating not only that, but when, it was with Mercury and Pluto, big changes are taking place. Big changes. Okay. Now, from the 14th of February to the 13th of March, we will have the sun in Aquarius. So if you're born between those dates, you are an Aquarian. And happy birthday to all those people. And Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, one of my favorite planets. Okay, we'll keep going. Now, going on to the 1st of February and what's going on there. Now, you can see at 12 o'clock up there, you can see that cluster of Pluto, Mercury, and the Sun. So we've got the Sun conjunct the Mercury. It's also trine Jupiter. So the Sun and Jupiter is a fantastic combination for buoyancy and expansion. Things are, as we know, changing, and we're seeing this expansion in not only knowledge but information that is coming out. We've got Mercury conjunct the Sun and Pluto, and as I've spoken about, it's also trine Jupiter. Lots of communication. Jupiter and Mercury in whatever combination is going to highlight the need for a lot of communication, and that's personal and what we're seeing in terms of politics at the moment. Mars is in Gemini, the house of communication. It is angled to Venus and Saturn and also Neptune. So there's a lot of structure going on in the communication realm. It's also sextile Uranus, as I've spoken about, and square Chiron. So Chiron I bring into the mix here because Chiron represents the wound. And you can clearly see the woundedness of humanity there, right? And we know that, we've screwed up and humanity needs a lot of attention, a lot of healing, change. It's massive. It has to happen. We've got Venus trine Mars. So we've got the male-female balance required here. That's a nice flow with the trine. Venus Uranus can add a lot of change to what it is that you like. You want different, something different to what you normally like. So bear in mind that things that you used to love, you might go, oh, hang on a second, I don't really like that much anymore. There's big change. Venus and Uranus is a really interesting combination because it likes things different. It doesn't like to conform to the norms. It doesn't like pastels and pastel colors and the boring, what's known as the boring. Uranus Venus likes new things, vibrant. So it likes to change it up, eccentricity even. So that's a nice impulse there. Venus, Neptune, absolutely beautiful combination. Very humanity oriented. It's a beautiful force. Neptune on higher mode is, it's all about connections, the God realm, the cosmic realms, our wanting of spirituality combined with Venus. And there's a beautiful force of really loving the spiritual side of things. It brings an element of humanity into what our desires are. So our desires can be more idealistic than what they were before. So, it might help people change their thinking on not giving a damn about what's going on to actually going, you know what? Yeah, I do. I do want unity in the world. I'm going for it, and enough of the political, nonsense that's been going on. I want, the simple things in life, which can be getting on with my neighbor and enough of the controversy, enough of the fighting, enough of not having enough money, enough of working 9 to 5 for some 7 days a week. Enough of that. I want to spend more time with my family and my friends. This is the Neptune Venus at play, which is really, really beautiful. So that's really happening. So we've got, we've got the Jupiter Sun, Jupiter Mercury, and even the Jupiter Saturn angle going on at the moment. Okay, keep going, guys. There's a lot of forces at play at the moment. So, for some people, it's like, oh, this is too confusing. There's just too many angles going on. But, this is just a bit of an overview of what's happening. So I hope you can get to understand some of these forces, and you'll have them at your disposal anyway, because they're on a podcast. You can see what's going on in terms of these forces. A lot of people are actually learning a lot about astrology as a result of these podcasts, and showing you the wheel that's going on at the moment. Being able to read the wheels, that's really handy. Okay, so we've got Saturn trine Mars, and it's square Jupiter, and it's sextile Mars. So the Saturn's giving structure to the communication and the Mars force. The know-how that we need when there's communication going. So there's a hell of a lot going on, and there's this cluster going on. On the wheel there, 10, 8 o'clock, between 8 and 10 o'clock on the wheel, there's a change where that cluster of planets is starting to come in. So I'm just going forward here, where we've got on that left-hand side, we've got the Sun and Mercury. This is on the 15th of February, sort of like the middle of the month. And we've got the Sun and Mercury in Aquarius. So Aquarius starts to come more into play. And so there's going to be a bit of a change up, things to do with our friends and acquaintances, which I've spoken about before. Humanitarian purposes is going to be more into the spotlight when we've got the Sun and the Mercury in the Aquarius force, in the Uranus force. So that again is changing the energy somewhat. That depths of Pluto, it's still there, but it's not going to be as strong or as volatile as it goes off the Mars, the Pluto off the Mars. The Pluto is sextile to the Venus, and that's a bit of a changer as well. So there's depth to the Venus energy that's going on. That can bring a lot of creativity also into the space. So the way that we think about things is likely to change. So that's also playing out. Okay, and going on. So February, there's not a huge difference between what was going on in January and February, but the communication is still strong. The Mars is still active, but in a different flavor. We've still got the Mars Uranus force, so there's still a lot of fire, and we've got some the Neptune force is still quite strong. It's conjunct the North Node, the axis of destiny, which is a beautiful thing. So I'm still going for this idealism, still wanting the idealism, as we all do. We all want that. We absolutely do. And then there's not a huge amount of difference between then and the end of the month, but we've got the Mars trine. Where is it? Mars is trining Saturn and also Mercury. So again, there's all this structure going on with communication, and there's a lot of will. So this cluster all along the left-hand side here of Aquarius and Pisces, they're really engaging at the moment. So, you can read that in a nutshell. It's like humanitarianism and idealism meeting, right? So there's changes. Now there's going to be a lot of changes coming. Soon when Saturn goes into Pisces, we've still got a little way for that to happen. And that's a bit of a changer. Things are going to change when we've got Saturn in Pisces. And I think I'm going to do a separate podcast on that, because I've had some feedback from some people that actually have got Saturn and Neptune in their own chart, and the difficulties that they have with that force. And now that it's about to go into Pisces, it's just going to be a really interesting time. So we've got this Neptune Saturn to contend with, and there's a lot to say about that. And I think people who've got that in their chart find it a really difficult force. And I think it's going to be a game changer for a lot of people out there who are doing spiritual work and, think they've got a handle on their spirituality, but perhaps they don't. So this is going to be a challenging period, I believe, for people, heavy into their spiritual work and having difficulty with it when you've got Saturn combining with Pisces. It's not an easy one. So that I think I'll save that for another time. Okay, now what else have we got going on here? All right, so we've got we've just had a new moon, and so now we're into the full. Sorry, we had a new moon. So the full moon is next, which is in Leo on the 12th of February. So basically the full moon is really showing the brunt of your bravery and courage, and just how much will will have you got to overcome limitations that you've had? You know, like doing that fast that I did for 7 days. Never ever thought that I would do something so drastic, and yet I did and succeeded. So you'd be surprised at what you can do. So kudos to Leo, full moon in Leo. So let's look at your levels of bravery and you know, the will force that you have. And then we've got the new moon coming in Aquarius, and that's on the 28th of February, the new moon. So a bit of a wait for that to happen. So new moons in Aquarius, you know, there are a few aspirations that you could go for with a new moon Aquarius. And that could be looking at your own community, whether you fit in where you are. Do you need to make changes in your environment, the people that you are around? So there's a new impulse there, and looking also at humanitarian causes, projects perhaps that you have, you know, had thoughts about, thought, you know, I'm really going to have a go and start something new. All right. So Aquarius, the Aquarian energy, it's a changer as well. It can be you know, you wanting change. You know, Aquarius is one of those forces where, you know, on a personal level, it can like you know, it can do change. It doesn't like restrictions. And you know, with a new moon there, you can look at your own, you know, self-imposed restrictions that you're giving yourself and going, you know, do I need to change this up, you know? And this full moon in Leo, maybe you do need a little bit of bravery, and you want to go forward to having impulses to change your own environment, the things that are in your interests, something different. You want to change it up. Okay, so there's the moons. Now we've got the retrogrades going on. So February, we've got Mars in retrograde until the 24th. The 24th of February. Now Mars has been very intense, as I said, and it's been mixed with the Pluto energy. Very, 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 very intense. That's a word you'll hear me saying often when it comes to Mars forces and Pluto. So it's been very active. Now, it's coming out of retrograde on the 24th of February. So that's going to be interesting to see if there's perhaps a better flow for some people in terms of action. And if there has been restriction in some people's Mars flow, then that's going to change with this retrograde. It's basically going to let go. Mars is going to go forward, you know. The energy is going to let go, less restriction. Boom, let's see what happens there. And then Jupiter has been in retrograde since October, and it is going to go forward on the 4th of February. So it's almost like Jupiter's sort of been holding its energy and could have been, you know, a lot more buoyant, but I think, you know, we needed more of this Saturn structure taking over instead of the Jupiter energy. Can muck things up. It gets in there and it you know, it makes things too big when it shouldn't be, when it needs to be contained. So you know, that's interesting. It feels like the Jupiter was sort of held a bit, which I think was a necessary thing to do. So it can be confusing to read what, you know, that Jupiter energy can do in terms of big experiences that have been happening, you know, with politics. it's all, it's expansion, it's massive expansion, and it could have been held back with these retrogrades. Very, needed to be directed. And now it's going to go out of retrograde and boom, off it goes. Let's see what happens in the next couple of days with that retrograde letting go. Okay, so for February, that's the only retrogrades that we're dealing with, but they're pretty big ones at the same time. Okay, and that's pretty well it. Now, what I've done here for 2025, I've got all of the big players, from Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, and Jupiter. I've actually put the dates there of, how long is Pluto in Capricorn? Well, it's from 2020 to December 2039. This gives you an idea of, the strength of some of these planets and the positions of where they are. And because these planets are such big players, it's good to know when they're happening, because there's so much going on in terms of changes in our world. It's for me particularly, I love to know where Uranus is, what it's doing. Saturn, I love to know where it's at, and the Pluto energy as well. So this gives you an indicator of what forces are what and how long they've been in what planet. So Pluto's in Capricorn from the 20th to December of 2039. That's a long one there. Neptune in Pisces from February 2023. That's when it started, and it's going to be there until January 2037. Uranus is in Aries, or it was in Aries from April 2017 to November 24, so it's just finished. In Taurus from November 2024 to the 29th of April 2032. That's a long stint there again, right? These are the big planets, take ages to go around. And of course, Uranus went retrograde and went back into Aries for a short period of time. It's still there at the moment, so that'll be moving out. I think it's in March. It will move out of Aries and back into Taurus. Saturn is in Aquarius from January 2023 to the end of March, 29th of March 2025. And then it goes into Pisces from the 30th of March to the 23rd of February 2028. Right, so there's big changes going on with these bigger planets, movements. So Jupiter is in Taurus from May 24th to May 24th to 2024 to May 14th, 2025, and then in Gemini from the 15th of May to the 1st of June 2026. So we've got this change from the Taurus energy. Now, just notice, well, at the moment, Jupiter is in Taurus, and this is all about our value system, the money system, and we're all waiting with bated breath on the currency revaluations, which, I've heard on the grapevine are closer and closer and closer. Apparently, there's been a big chunk of gold that has moved from Great Britain to New York. That's one of the latest, and that it's not easy to get gold in the UK because the stocks have been depleted. Now, you can read into that all you want. Those in the financial system will know what's going on there, but there are big changes going on. There's more talk about a change in the monetary system. Now, Jupiter putting more buoyancy into Taurus, it's all about value system. Right now, we're going to have hang on, just going back into the animation applet there so that we can see the movement of Uranus. Uranus is in Aries, and we've got Jupiter in Taurus. So going down to the bottom there from 7 to 8 o'clock there. And we're going to go forward, just watching the movements of Uranus and Jupiter. They're slow, going slowly there. And through to March. And here we go. The end of March, we have got Uranus going back into Taurus, and Jupiter is also in Taurus there. So watch out is all I'm saying. Something's got to shift in terms of the monetary system. It's all shaping up to, you know, there should have been a financial crash. Why it hasn't happened, you know, that's one of the things that's been spoken about a lot. Why hasn't the monetary system crashed? Why hasn't Wall Street fully crashed? Well, it's being propped up somehow. That's what's going on, but it can't sustain itself. So something's got to shift. Something's going to move. And we're waiting with bated breath for that to happen. So guys, lots and lots of changes, and it's going to continue. So I think there's more executive orders coming out. You know, we've got RFK now being in a position where he can really push the changes to the health system. We want transparency and a lot more. So that's also on the agenda. So major changes in structures, just keep watching that. You know, in Australia, there's a lot of interesting things going on. I don't think the election date has been called, but we've got both Liberals and Labor, left and right, which, by the way, is the reverse in Australia to what it is in the USA. And I actually think they've done that on purpose to confuse the hell out of people. So we've got the Labor government as the Democrats and the Liberal as the equivalent of the Republicans. However, in Australia, the Liberals and the Democrats, it's like there's no right wing. It's like the Republicans went all the way over to the left. That's what it feels like. It's like we don't have an opposition. We actually don't have an opposition. And we're seeing all sorts of nefariousness going on in terms of our country and religion. And we're seeing our government literally side with another country over our own country. It's absolutely extraordinary to watch that play out. I find it quite shocking, to be honest. If you listen to Anthony Albanese and Dutton, well, they're both pathetic in my eyes. I'm sorry, but they are. They're going off at the people in Australia for being anti-Semitic. And at the same time, our government is handing over money to Jewish organizations and, you know, like synagogues and things like that. They're allowing more and more immigration coming into our country, and we have major problems with housing. major problems with housing. We're still trying to recover from the COVID mandates, where a lot of businesses went to the wall. Immigration is coming in and putting this massive strain on the work sector. And it's really, really difficult to comprehend how our own government is not for Australia, because it does not appear, by what they're doing and what they're saying and who they're standing for, what they're doing, what money they're handing out, it's not to Australia. And I find it really, really hard to comprehend. I really, really do. I'm not anti-Semitic, right? I just want our country to look after Australians. I really, really do. And that is not what is happening. It's not. So we need changes to happen here. There's an election coming up in 2025. This is the year of the elections here. I don't know what date as yet, but be very, very mindful of what's taking place and who is working in our best interests. It's really, really important. It's frustrating. Anyway, guys, that's politics. Hopefully all the changes that are taking place is also going to filter into Australia. We desperately need massive changes. No more politics as usual. We've had a gutful. We need it to change. So as much as people don't like Trump, there are changes afoot, and those changes need to happen. Wake up to what is taking place here. Just wake up, okay? That's Jules being really, intense. But I can see it so clearly. We are being screwed, and the Australian people, I'm so grateful there are more and more people that are actually waking up to exactly what is going on. And I don't think we're the minority anymore. And we cannot take any more. Immigration is great. However, to the extent that it's happening here in our own country, it's not sustainable. It is absolutely not sustainable. And if you are immigrating into a country, you must assimilate. Otherwise, why come here? Why go to another country if you have no intention of picking up customs and doing that way of life? If you're not going to do that, what are you doing here? I know some absolutely amazing people who've immigrated into this country, and they pick up the lingo. The young ones are fantastic. I know this guy that works at one of the local servos, and he was speaking to me like he's been in Australia for ages, and you could tell he's really trying to get the lingo, and his accent, he's even changing his accent. And it's like, I had to say, I just gave him, well done. You are doing really well. I love your accent. You're doing really good. So, it's fantastic. Come over, but assimilate. This is a great country. But even those that have been here for a long time must realize that you cannot flood a country with new people when there's nowhere to live and there's no jobs. What idiot politician leader does that to its own people? I just don't get it. I really, really don't get it. So please don't call me a racist or an anti-Semitic. That's just absolute bullshit nonsense. that's been, you know, these people are off. No, this is the actual fact of what is going on. And sorry, guys, you know, I ranted over my planetary review for February, but this is the reality of it. And there's changes taking place, and we want them to happen. We need change in Australia, just as, you know, Britain needs change, Europe needs change, America needs change. We need this change. And good on Uranus and Pluto and Mars for making it happen. So go with it instead of fighting it. Don't fight these changes. It won't work. They're going to happen. Okay, guys, so look forward to February being an amazing month. I hope it's really good for you. So ride the forces to your advantage. If you are interested in a natal reading or a predictions reading for yourself or healing work, please visit my website, astraljules.com. And also all the information is there. Prices, it's all up there for you to see, and get in touch if you need more information. Also, you know, I'm doing all of this stuff for free, guys. So if you would like to buy me a coffee, by all means, or a glass of wine, whatever you like. You know, I would actually love to meet a lot of the people that I have done readings for. I could easily sit down and have a coffee with you guys. And hopefully one day it actually happens. I think it would be fantastic. That's me. That's what I like to do. You know, when I do a reading on some people, you know, it ends up being this intimate experience, and often a friendship will happen. That's part of what I do. It's how I roll. So guys, again, take care, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye for now. Bye.